Ah shit, here we go again. Welcome to Grand Theft Audio. About 3 years ago, while on COVID leave, I started talking with my friends about all the great music featured in the Grand Theft Auto series. At the time, I was listening to a special on the Doughboys podcast, the Tournament of Champions, where they featured a bracket of various items available at McDonald's. The winner of each matchup was decided by a vote between 3 participants, and I thought this would make a great idea for a way to spend the time while cooped up at home. So the GTA bracket was born. And 23 contests later, I finally wrapped up what I like to call Volume 1. Basically, I would have my friends vote on the songs sorted in a certain way via a Google Doc corresponding with a bracket on challenge.com. Looking back over it, one of the big problems is I was too ambitious in how I was tackling all the music. It was always my plan to go through every single song featured on the radio across all the games. So I thought it would make more sense to divvy it by genre. I figured fewer brackets that way. But this meant that I had brackets featuring upward of 64 songs, which was not exactly feasible as the world opened up and people had things like jobs, marriages, and children to attend to. But I'm ready to start anew and see just how far I can get. This time, just going through one radio station at a time. And there's a lot of them. There are over 100 radio stations across 10 games across 24 years, not counting the ones in Chinatown Warns and GTA Advance, which I'm not including on this list. For the purposes of brevity, I am consolidating the songs from GTA 1, 2, and London into their own contests. To start with, I'm going to pick a random station, so let's give the radio a spin.
Many a young maid lost her body.
Said something strange in my mind.
You're back on VCFL.
All right. VCFL, Vice City for Lovers. I've always argued that Vice City Stories is the most underrated of the series. VCFL is one of 2 stations playing R&B type music in Vice City Stories, the other being Paradise FM, which bills itself as a disco station. It's also similar to Emotion, and it's identified as being a Quiet Storm type of station, a somewhat defunct format, which more or less means it's more on the ballady side of things. And it's all about staying in, turning down the lights, and turning up the heat. As with a lot of brackets, the songs on this station are seeded, whereas in a sports bracket, this would usually depend on a team's performance throughout the regular season. Here, I'm basing the seeding on a combination of chart performance, how famous the song is outside of the game, and how prolific the performer or performers are. This means that in some cases, a less famous song by a more famous artist, which happens quite a bit in GTA, may be lower seeded than a one-hit wonder, which is more recognizable. That said, the winner all depends on you, the voting public. Because VCFL features 11 songs, the first round only involves 6 songs in 3 matchups. Here are the songs in seeded order, and then at the end I'm going to say who is facing who in this first round. Top seed.
Baby, I'm hot just like an oven.
Sexual Healing by Marvin Gaye. What is there to say about Marvin Gaye? His song Sexual Healing has been shorthand for Let's Get Freaky for decades. It's the undisputed king of the charts on this list as well, peaking at number 1 on the Hot R&B Singles chart and staying there for 10 weeks. It was also number 3 on the Hot 100, making Marvin the second artist after Aretha Franklin to have had a single at every number of the top of the Hot 100 from number 1 to number 10. Not bad at all. Number 2 seed.
Oh, no, no. Ecstasy, yeah. When you lay down in bed.
It's Ecstasy When You Lay Down Next to Me by Barry White. If there was ever a contender to knock Mr. Gay off the top spot, it's got to be Barry White. His cameo on The Simpsons alone is magical. This one, probably not his best-known song, but it's no slouch either. 5 weeks at number 1 on the R&B charts, number 4 on the Hot 100. Number 3.
I'm in love with Mary Jane. I'm not the only one if Mary wanna play around.
Mary Jane by Mr. Rick James. Now, Rick James is pretty prolific across all the GTA games. He had Ghetto Life in the original Vice City, this one in Vice City Stories, and Give It To Me Baby in GTA 5. Not only that, but this song actually provided the name for his spin-off group, the Mary Jane Girls, who also feature on Fever 105 in the original Vice City. It peaked at number 3 on the Hot Soul charts in 1978, went to number 41 on the Hot 100, and it concerns Rick's love for a girl and nothing else. Seed number 4.
Gonna be some sweet songs.
Night Shift by the Commodores. You ever listen to a song where you don't think much of it and then you read about it and your entire opinion of it changes? On paper, this shouldn't be as high as number 4. It's a Commodore song from after Lionel Richie left. It was their last top 10 hit after he left, and it sounds pretty maudlin at first glance, until you realize it was written right after the murder of Marvin Gaye and the death at 49 of pioneering artist Jackie Wilson. It's about death and grieving and celebrating someone's legacy after they're gone, and that's something that hits very close to home for me, which is why I rated it so high. Number 5 seed.
And we will live together until the 12th.
Fantasy. Earth, Wind, and Fire. The only reason Earth, Wind, and Fire isn't higher on this list is that this isn't one of their biggest hits, especially when you compare it to September, which was released the same year. It peaked at number 12 on the Soul charts and number 32 on the Hot 100, but I put it so high simply because it's Earth, Wind, and Fire. There's not a lot of them in GTA, surprisingly, but Phil Bailey has another more famous song in Vice City Stories, his duet with Phil Collins, Easy Lover. Number 6 seed.
Think I better let it go. Looks like another love TKO.
Love TKO by Teddy Pendergrass. Now we're getting into the artists I'd never heard of before playing GTA, though I did appreciate this bit later in King of the Hill when I saw it.
Close the door.
Yeah, so, this is my first massage.
Put your face in the hole, Hank.
Can you make the lights any brighter?
That's as bright as they go.
Is this Luther Vandross?
Teddy Pendergrass.
Can you, turn it off?
No, it's wired to the lights.
His story's actually pretty sad. Following a successful career through the 70s and early 80s, even being called the Black Elvis and being considered equal in popularity to Marvin Gaye, Teddy was paralyzed from the chest down during a car crash in 1982. He still continued to record, even performing at Live Aid in '85, until his passing in 2010 at only 59.
Oh, we can change things. If we start giving. Why don't you reach out and touch somebody's hand? This world a better place. Oh, baby.
This song was a huge hit for him, going to number 44 on the Hot 100 and number 2 on the R&B charts in 1980. Number 7 seed.
Everybody loves the sunshine.
Everybody Loves the Sunshine by the Roy Ayers Ubiquity. Roy Ayers is incredibly, ubiquitous, both in and outside of GTA. He also shows up in San Andreas and twice in GTA 4, where he actually DJs the jazz fusion radio station Fusion FM. As far as I can tell, this wasn't released as a single, but the eponymous album peaked at number 10 on the Soul charts and 51 on the Hot 100. Number 8 seed.
Let's start thinking what we're doing. Don't let nothing change.
Rising to the Top by Kenny Burke. Kenny Burke, legendary songwriter, producer, multi-instrumentalist, probably best known for his work with the 5 Stairsteps, including Ooh Child, which featured in Guardians of the Galaxy as well as in GTA 5. Not only that, but the Mary Jane Girls song in Vice City actually samples this song, which was in the prequel. Rockstar likes a bit of self-reference. Anyway, this song has been sampled profusely over the last 40 years, which is another thing Rockstar likes to sneak in, the originator of samples from popular music. It's probably also cheaper than licensing the newer songs when you can just get the old songs and remind people of the new songs. Seed number 9.
Started with a key. Never thought it would come to this.
It started with a kiss, Hot Chocolate. Hot Chocolate is probably best known for a different song.
I believe in miracles. Where from? You sexy thing, you.
They're actually a UK soul outfit, which explains why the song made it into the game when it didn't even chart in the US. You're going to notice a lot of provincialism for the UK when it comes to the music choices in these games, which makes sense when you have a game produced by Brits that takes place in America. Number 10 seed. You Can't Turn Me Away by Sylvia Striplin. Yeah, Yeah, I have very little to go off of for this one. Sylvia's wiki page is pretty bare, and as far as I can tell, the only reason it's included here is because it's sampled in Get Money.
You wanna sit more on my living room floor? Play Nintendo with Seasonino. Pick up my phone, say.
So there's that. Number 11 seed. Mambo by Wally Badarou. It's a song that's so obscure it's not even on Spotify. Kind of feel bad for putting us so low because this guy has an incredibly prolific career as a keyboardist and producer, working with everyone from Fela Kuti to Robert Palmer to Talking Heads as a studio musician. This song was apparently sampled in a Massive Attack song in the 90s. So there's your contenders. Because there's only 11 songs, that means that the top 5 all get buys for the first round. So first 3 matchups are as follows. Rising to the Top versus It Started With a Kiss, Everybody Loves the Sunshine versus You Can't Turn Me Away, Love TKO versus Mambo. I've left a link to the Google Doc in the video, as well as the Challenge.com bracket and the YouTube and Spotify playlists to improve your listening experience. Polls are now open, and I'll leave them open. After that, I'll tabulate the results, and you can expect a video detailing the next matchups in a little while. Thanks, and I hope you enjoy.
Fantastic! Emotion may say they've got notion, but on VCFL there's lots of fish in the ocean. Why cry when you can make love to this music and then cry afterwards and hope the other person leaves quickly? Get out of my house, fool! Take your shit!